I'm John Buchanan. Now in this video, we're going to take a first step to discover exactly what's possible with the new MIDI In routings within Logic 11. Now, it's fair to say that over the last few years, the kind of evolution in terms of the way that people have wanted to work has rather brilliantly reintroduced the concept of modular synthesis and working with external synthesizers. And more, what we want to be able to do is to bring some of the kind of patching capabilities of working with external synths to our workflows within Logic. And brilliantly, I have to say, Apple have kind of responded. So we now have the opportunity to route MIDI signals internally. What does that mean for you? You might be thinking, well, it means a whole bunch of things. And in this first video on this subject, I suspect there may be several more. We're going to begin to see what exactly that means. What I've done here is to set up an Alchemy patch playing this rather excellently named grunge dream synth patch. Irresistible. When you saw the name and I gave it the big build-up, did you think it was going to sound like that? Sorry. Okay, well, let's make it a little bit more interesting. What I'm going to do next is to add a couple of MIDI effects to it. So firstly, what I'm going to do is to add the arpeggiator. But rather than just adding a live pattern so that we get the kind of usual arpeggiation, what I'm actually going to do is to come into grid mode and just literally just draw in some notes. And these little blocks effectively represent velocity shapes. And what I want to do is just to create a pattern that's just providing a little bit of variation and introducing a few little sort of moments which are going to, of course, then trigger different notes. And if we want to, we can introduce octave ranges and variations and all that kind of stuff. But just so you can see how this can work, I'm going to keep things simple for now. Let's listen to this. Okay, well, it's definitely a bit grungier now, just a little bit. And as well as the ARP, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to set up the Modulator plugin. Now, what this allows me to do, and we've got a whole video on this, so this is a plugin you don't know, a MIDI effects plugin. It's a really important thing to say. When I say plugins, at the moment we're talking about MIDI effects. All of this video is about MIDI routing. So effectively what I have a chance to do within the Modulator plugin is to set up an LFO style shape to generate MIDI data. In other words, what this LFO is drawing at the moment isn't an audio signal, it's generating data which is being routed to MIDI controller number 1, more commonly known as the modulation wheel. Now it turns out that of course I can send that MIDI data to any controller I like, and in a minute we're going to begin to see the value of doing that. But what this would mean in real time is that if there is a parameter within Alchemy which is receiving an input from the mod wheel, the LFO is currently manipulating that, and it's doing it with this kind of triangle wave shape, which of course I can swap out for a different shape if I want to. I can, if I choose this more random shape, introduce some smoothing to it. So rather than just being a kind of square block, effectively what suddenly we get is some curves, but you can see that the output is randomized. And what I can also do is to choose the speed of that. I'm going to take that up to an 1/8 note and it all starts working a little bit harder. Again, just to stress, this isn't audio processing, this is a line of data. Now this won't make any difference at all to the Alchemy sound unless something is being routed through from the mod wheel to one of the parameters within Alchemy. And I don't even know, and actually, weirdly, I don't even care, because we're going to begin to see what this line can do in just a little moment. But let's find out. I'm going to press play. I don't think so. Nothing that was too obvious anyway. It's easy to look at the pattern and listen to the part and think, oh yeah, I can hear that. Can you? I'm not sure I can. Anyway, maybe your ears are better than mine. Okay, so why go to the trouble to create a data line like this if I don't want to be using it on the grunge dream synth. Okay, well this is where the whole idea of internal MIDI routing works. Let's close down our MIDI FX plugins for a moment. Okay, so normally what might happen if I wanted to use these notes as a trigger for other notes is that I would take this region and I would copy them down to a different synth. But that's not what I want to do. What I'm actually going to do is to say, right, my grunge dream synth is what we refer to as my output track. It is the thing which is going to spit out MIDI data. And what I have a chance to do now is to internally route that within Logic. And I'm going to do that like this. I'm going to come down to this airy pick sound, which is a retro synth sound to which I've added a little bit of delay. For now, just to keep things easy, I'm going to just bypass that. And what I'm much more interested in is opening up this track inspector where I suddenly have an opportunity to choose an internal MIDI in routing for this sound. In other words, it's suddenly going to stop independently working, and instead it's going to slave to the MIDI signals that are coming from somewhere else. And what I'm going to do is to jump into this drop-down menu, and here I'm going to find my instrument inputs, and all three of the instruments that I've put into this project exist in this list, and I'm going to choose the grunge dream synth because that is the sound which I want to have trigger it. Okay, so what does that actually mean in real terms? Well, what it means is this signal's output is now being routed to the input of this signal. So we're hearing the original synth, and whilst we're not seeing it, we can definitely hear the airy pick sound being played back on top because it's being triggered from this first synth. Now then, this is where life's going to start getting a little bit interesting. What I'm going to do is to come back to the grunge dream synth for a moment. And what I'm going to do is to come back to the modulator. And what I'm then going to do is to change where I want to send the MIDI signal, which is coming to the mod wheel at the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that to a completely arbitrary MIDI controller number 9, something completely unassigned. Okay, now we already know, or at least I think we know, I don't think I can hear any effect that that was having on the original Alchemy sound. But if I come back to the airy pick sound and I open up retro synth, what I have a chance to do in the settings window down here is to say, okay, what I want to do is to route something to somewhere else. In other words, I've got some controllers, and what I want to do is to send them somewhere interesting. Okay, well, if I was to select MIDI controller number 9, which is the place where I've just sent all those modulation signals, what I can then do is to decide where I want it to go. Now, the list of options isn't that big, but one of them is the wave shape. So for instance, what I could do would be to change the pulse width of this sound if I wanted to, using that. I could also choose the wave variation, which is not applicable in this particular instance because I'm not using wave synthesis for this sound. I've got LFO rates that I can change, or I could just go with the cutoff frequency. So effectively what this allows me to do is to say, yeah, I want to dial in cutoff frequency offsets from that randomly generated pattern from the LFO MIDI effect on the Alchemy sound, and I want to route those through to retro synth on a completely other track. Does that make sense? Okay, you can begin to see that this actually has got quite a lot of legs, this concept. Okay, let's have a listen to that. And that'll actually be easier to see if I open up the modulator and we put the two things, the modulator. I gave that an interesting little spin. Let's put these two things side by side, and we should be able to now see how this pattern is affecting the cutoff frequency. Okay, so far so good. Now, the crucial thing that I'm going to draw your attention to is the kind of limited list of things that I can do in terms of that signal within RetroSynth. So what happens when we work with a synthesizer, unlike RetroSynth, that doesn't limit the number of places that we can route MIDI controllers? Now, I know how we all feel about the interface of the ES2. However, this is a synthesizer which allows us to do a whole range of things with MIDI signals, targets, destinations, all of it. What I'm going to do is to just choose this basic dance synth patch, which looks like this, and effectively it sounds like this. Okay. Simple little sound, but the crucial reason why I've selected it is not because I want to use this sound as it currently stands, but because I want to do something interesting with that modulator signal coming from our Grunge Dream synth. And the way that that works is as follows. What I've got down at the bottom of the ES2 are these controller A, B, C, D, E, and F assignments. And these effectively allow me to say, okay, I want to take a signal from somewhere and I want to pipe it into the ES2. Well, I'm going to choose controller number F, or letter F, not number F, letter F. What I'm going to do over here is to click on this list, and what I'm going to do is to drop down to number 9, which is, of course, the MIDI modulator output signal that we've already been working with. Okay, that's fine. Where can I route it? Well, anywhere. The way that I can make routings within the ES2 is to come to an empty target slot. I can see that this is the first available one. These ones are all assigned already. I'm going to come to a target, and to make life easy and interesting, I'm going to select the pitch of all 3 of these oscillators. So there are 3 oscillators within the synth, and all 3 of them are going to be targeted by whatever I select down here. Now, by default, it's offered me an LFO. I don't want that. What I want to do is to drop down through the list until I come to controller F, which is MIDI controller 9. Great. So that's being routed in. What I then need to do is to turn up the amount of this so that the amount of pitch variation is more obvious. Okay, now to make life easy, I'm going to mute the original airy picks part, but I also need to remember to route in from the internal MIDI In option our Grunge Dream synth. That again tells the ES2 that it is the MIDI trigger for these sounds. What does that sound like? Well, I think it's going to sound quite interesting, but at the moment, one thing is being masked by another. Now, of course, everything we've done so far is to talk about MIDI routing, but that doesn't mean that I don't still have capability over audio routing. So, of course, I can turn up the volume of this part, but I can also turn down the volume of the Grunge Dream synth if I want to. Let's look at these 2 things side by side. Okay, so that's a little random, a little crazy, but it's kind of fun and we can see that it's working. What if I choose a different parameter? I'm going to come down here and select Detune instead. Again, pitch variation, but much less overwhelming. Okay, so that's really interesting. So what I want to do now is to record the input signal from the Grunge Dream synth so that effectively it becomes a kind of permanent part of my arrangement. Well, again, all I need to do is to press record. And again, remember the MIDI input is coming from that part, all packaged up with the data that's coming from Modulator and the notes that are coming from the Arpeggiator. So that's nice. And what I'm also going to do is to record the same part on the airy picks as well. Now, if it turns out that when I run all three things side by side, I suddenly think, okay, the detune's too much. Well, remember, that is just a thing that's being triggered or has been effectively captured as part of that particular performance. But of course, now the notes that are triggering that are effectively something that I can lessen if I want the effect of that. And you might be thinking, well, what are all these lines? Well, that is the MIDI controller data that has come through from Modulator. If I double click on this region, and if what we do is to open up track automation, I'm going to find that for MIDI controller number 9, here is all the randomized data which has been generated. And of course, if all I wanted to do was to strip the notes out of this, take that line of MIDI information and route it anywhere I like, I can. And we know that within Logic, if I need to change the number of that MIDI controller assignment, duplicate it, do something else with it, I can do that too. As I said, I suspect we're going to be back here a lot because I think the potential for this is absolutely enormous. But what we've done within this video is to begin to see what happens when we set up sounds, MIDI effects, and then we route those through to other instruments to create, well, our kind of fun.